My name is Helen, and I am 70, 2 years of age. I'm not embarrassed to say that I have been feeling alone since my husband, Harold, died 5 years ago. Our large old house feels incredibly empty without him. Harold and I created our life together within these walls. We filled each room with affection, joy, and especially our intimate moments in the bedroom. My husband was the kindest man I knew, and he always pleased me intimately, which made me constantly desire his touch. His passing made my world feel dull and colorless. My garden became my sanctuary, my escape. It was the place Harold and I spent our weekends tending roses and enjoying their growth. After his death, the garden helped me remember him and maintain his presence in my life. However, as time passed, the weeds became overwhelming, and the physical labor required to maintain the garden became too difficult for me. That's when Sam entered my life. Sam was my hired gardener, a man in his early 40s with strong hands, broad shoulders, and a very kind smile. He was different from most younger men today, possessing an old-fashioned courtesy. He always addressed me as Miss Helen, despite my requests to use just Helen. He's been caring for my garden for over a year now, and during this period, a sort of friendship has developed between us. Every Thursday, Sam would come to work, and I would prepare tea for us. We would chat about the weather, the flowers, or current events. I would sit on the porch with my tea, observing him work, and I began to notice. I really anticipated those Thursdays. There was something special about his actions and the way he paid attention when I talked. It made me feel important again, not just a solitary, elderly lady in a large, vacant home. One specific Thursday, my feelings changed. I observed Sam as he cut the roses, the sun shining gently on his face. I started thinking about how it would feel to dance with him, to have him hold me, even briefly. It was a silly notion, a feeling I hadn't experienced since my husband Harold passed away, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Inhaling deeply, I resolved to be brave. I went into the yard, my heart pounding rapidly. Sam glanced up, wiping perspiration from his forehead, and offered his usual kind smile. "Miss Helen," he greeted respectfully. "How can I assist you today?" I paused, feeling a bit foolish, but continued. "Sam," I said quietly, "could you join me for a moment? I need to request something." He appeared confused, but accompanied me to the wooden seat on the porch. We sat, and for a second, I wasn't sure I could continue. But then I gazed at him, truly looked at him, and reflected on all the years I'd felt unnoticed. "Sam," I uttered, barely whispering, "I understand this may seem odd, but could you dance with me? Just for a little while, here in the garden." He stared at me, surprised, clearly shocked. "Dance with you," he echoed, like he hadn't understood correctly. "Yes," I replied, blushing. "I haven't danced since Harold passed, and I long for it. I miss it greatly." Feeling close to someone. "Would you do that for me, Sam?" He hesitated, looking at me like he was trying to figure out if I was serious. But then he stood up and extended his hand to me, a gentle smile spreading across his face. "If that's what you'd like." "Miss Helen," he said, and in that moment he wasn't just a gardener. He was something more. I took his hand, and as he pulled me close, I felt the world slow down. We began to sway to the rhythm of a song. Only I could hear the roses and daisies surrounding us, like silent witnesses. His touch was firm, yet tender, and I closed my eyes, remembering what it felt like to be held, to be cared for. It felt like a lifetime since I'd had that, and I didn't want the moment to end. But then I felt something change. I let my hand slide up to his shoulder, my fingers lingering there. They're a bit too long. I opened my eyes, and when I looked at Sam, I saw something in his gaze, something that told me he felt it too. It wasn't just kindness or pity. It was a connection, a spark that neither of us had expected, Miss Helen. He said, his voice soft and almost trembling, "You're a beautiful woman, and I'm honored to dance with you." But before he could finish, I did something reckless, something I hadn't done in years. I leaned in and kissed him, a soft, lingering kiss that spoke of all the loneliness, all the yearning I'd kept bottled up inside. For a moment, he froze, surprised, but he didn't pull away. And in that split second, I felt alive, truly alive, in a way I hadn't since Harold was taken from me. When I finally pulled back, Sam's eyes were filled with something I couldn't quite place: shock, confusion, maybe even a hint of desire. But then reality hit like a cold wave, washing over us both. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice cracking. "I shouldn't have, Miss Helen." He said gently, taking a step back, "You don't need to apologize. I didn't expect that." He looked down at his hands, then back at me, his eyes searching mine. "You're a wonderful woman, and I respect you more than you know. But I can't. I'm just the gardener." I felt my heart drop the sting of his words, like a slap in the face. Of course he couldn't. What was I thinking? A man like Sam, with his whole life ahead of him, what would he want with an old woman like me? I'd crossed a line and knew it. I was foolish to think the dance could mean more than it did. "I understand," I said, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Thank you, Sam. Thank you for the dance." He nodded, still looking at me like he wasn't sure what to say. And then he turned and walked back to the garden, his back to me, the moment we'd shared already slipping away like a dream I woken up from too soon as I watched him from the porch, my heart aching at. Realized something. I'd been reaching out, not just for the touch of another human being, but for the chance to feel alive again, to feel like I wasn't just fading away into nothing. I wasn't sorry for the kiss. I wasn't sorry for the dance had to end. Sorry that the dance had to end. Sorry that the dance had to end. Sorry that reality didn't give me the fairy tale ending I'd craved, even at my age. Life goes on. I suppose Thursdays still come and go, and Sam still comes to tend to my garden. We talk, we laugh. But there's a silence between us now, a question hanging in the air that neither of us dares to answer. And as much as I try to put that kiss out of my mind, I know that every time I see him, I'll remember the day when, for one brief moment, I dared to reach out for something more, and I'll wonder, what if I hadn't let go? What if I hadn't let go? What if just once I'd held on a little longer?